Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Vaught. Money flows in and out of our lives on a daily basis. However, we rarely see it in physical form. Much of what we know money to be is a small plastic card that we keep handy for our everyday spending. Today, I would like to show you how to increase your available funds without changing your income. You see, for many Americans, the money runs out before the end of the month, and they are left to survive on the creation of debt. According to the Federal Reserve, the total amount of debt owed by consumers is $953 billion and is headed towards $1 trillion very rapidly. Today, I urge you to make a change in your personal spending habits to stay ahead of the average consumer and away from credit card debt. I would like to share with you a personal story. Approximately 3 years ago, I signed up for a credit card through my local credit union. I was excited because I was approved for a low rate and 1% cash back reward. And this was on every purchase made on the card. I've had credit cards before and was relatively responsible with them. I started to use the credit card for normal monthly expenses and paid the balance before the end of the month to avoid any interest. As time continued, I started to use the credit card for more and more. As more debt accumulated on the card, I was having trouble paying it off by the end of the month, thus incurring any kind of interest that was due on the balance. I was still optimistic because I was getting the cash back at the end of the year. At the end of the year, I had a whopping $240. I was so excited to get the money at the end of the year. But when I finally did the math, I almost threw up. I was getting 1% cash back and I accumulated $240. How much does that mean I actually spent that year? $24,000 to be exact. I chased a 1% return just to put myself $24,000 in the hole. How did this happen? It has a lot to do with marketing and psychology of consumer spending. For instance, there was a study conducted by Dun & Bradstreet that states that consumers spend 12 to 18% more when using a credit card instead of cash. Many people today focus heavily on using credit cards for the sole purpose of collecting airline miles, cash back, or even money towards a new car. There's a reason credit card companies are some of the most successful companies out there. They play on the consumer's emotions and impulses. Consumer psychologist Ian Zimmerman, PhD, states that impulse buying is related to anxiety and unhappiness. The impulse buyer may feel unhappy and may think that being seen with a new expensive purchase will bring respect and happiness. This perceived road to happiness motivates the impulse buyer to go shopping and experiences pleasure at the thought of being able to purchase it and leaving with it immediately. Going back to my story, I accumulated $24,000 in credit card debt, and I could not tell you what I spent the money on, and I have nothing to show for it. The journey to breaking the cycle in credit card debt starts with action. There are 3 steps that I'm currently in the process of completing to get rid of my credit card debt and get rid of the credit card companies for good, and a desire for you to do the same. The first step is to create an emergency fund of $1,000. This is something that must be done as soon as possible, and then once every fund is in place, it can only be used for emergencies. Pizza delivery, for example, is not an emergency. Once this step is complete, you can then take a pair of scissors and cut your credit cards into oblivion. The next step involves creating a zero-based budget. This means every dollar you spend has a name before you spend it. You have specific things your money is going towards before you even earn that money that month. For example, your budget may have a list of all your monthly fixed expenses, current debts, and a list of things you are currently saving for. By having a budget and living by the budget, your money doesn't go behind your back and buy something that it wasn't supposed to. The first and second months of budgeting are typically the hardest because this is where you have a new lifestyle. Once you get the hang of it, this is where you feel as though you have gotten a raise. Why? Because now you are telling your money what to do rather than your money doing what it wants to do. Once all of your debts have been paid off, you can then proceed to the third step, which is to fully fund your emergency fund. This consists of saving 3 to 6 months of your expenses into an account that is easily accessible. By doing this, you have a safety net in which you can easily access the funds instead of taking out a loan, or better yet, using a credit card. At this point, you have no debt to your name, and you have a sufficient amount in savings in order to cover most any event that may happen. This is what we call peace of mind. Today, I have discussed with you briefly the power of credit card companies and what they have the power over the average consumer. I have also illustrated a plan of action that you can implement immediately to change your future financial situation. I challenge you to cut up your credit cards like I did today and live the life with money you have in your hand and not be a slave to the small plastic card. Thank you for your time.